I became pretty disillusioned with politics whenever I realized that these people who are supposed to be running against each other are often related or in the same fraternity as one another.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee. Look, I look
Are
forward...
you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
I guess that's what people call the deep state. These people that are supposed to be working for the people, but they're actually just scratching each other's backs, and that's why nothing ever gets done. I think this is why Trump got such a big following. Obviously, people see Trump as the answer to the deep state. They see him as an outsider, but Trump is just the same as all these other politicians. He's still in secret fraternities.
Many admire him for his straight talking.
And now he's apparently been made a Knight of the Round Table in Tintagel and can call himself Sir. Heidi Davey reports.
Well, as the legend goes here in Tintagel, only the best knights in King Arthur's kingdom are invited to sit at the prestigious Round Table. It's an honour bestowed on only a few, and Donald Trump has now been added to that list. The question is, though, why?
So from henceforth, Donald Trump will be known at Camelot Castle as Sir Donald Trump of Camelot.
He's really not joking, by the way, as the process for selection is extremely serious here in North Cornwall.
We do it very, very rarely, and we do it. It is a great honour because the Noble Order of Camelot Castle is something that we do take very, very seriously. We have granted knighthoods previously. Some of them obviously are private for obvious reasons. I think he is one of the most noble men today in the world, and I think what he is doing is something that will go down in history, and I think King Arthur would be proud.
He is still related to people you would never guess he's related to. So in my opinion, Trump is just like a pseudo answer to the quote-unquote deep state. I think a lot of people, when they go to the polls, they're picking their poison or, choosing the lesser evil. But when I see people just 100% get wrapped up in politics, I feel like somebody who's watching a magic trick being done on somebody, and you can clearly see and observe the trick, but the person who's being tricked has no idea. What would you do if you walked into an ice cream shop and they only had 2 flavors and you didn't like either of them? You would walk out. This all reminds me of that South Park episode where come election time they have to choose between a douchebag and a turd sandwich.
This is Debate 2004 with your host, Jim Lehrer. Welcome to the cable access televised debate between a giant douche and a turd sandwich. We'll start with giant douche. Sir, some students and parents are reluctant to have a giant douche represent them. What do you say to those people? Jim, first of all, I would like to thank you for monitoring this debate, and I would like to thank all of the students and their parents for coming.
Suck up! Suck up! Shh! What? That's an obvious suck-up move.
But I would hope that those students and their parents who question my qualities would simply look at my opponent. He is a turd sandwich.
I love Channel 5 News with Andrew Callahan because it's the least polarized news source I've been able to find. I'm pretty sick and tired of there only being 2 options when both options suck. Is voting a trick or a treat? A lot of people see it as a treat, a way to influence the system, but I see it as a trick, especially because oftentimes the popular vote doesn't matter at all, and it really comes down to the Electoral College's vote. So I feel like it's in a way my duty to make a video like this to talk people off of the ledge, because every 4 years I hear people talking about World War III or a civil war. And I gotta go back to that metaphor I use where I just feel like I'm watching people involved in a magic trick that they don't realize they're wrapped up in themselves. But this is a part of the human condition. People are so prone to tribalism. It's so easy to split people up into 2 different groups. and then pit them against each other, they will do almost anything to win at that point. I think with any business, if people stopped buying its product, it would go out of business. And I see the same thing with politics. If people stopped tuning into the propaganda, they would have no option but to stop. If people stopped participating in a rigged system, they would have no option but to modify the system.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, William Howard Taft, and President Barack Obama. One young girl traced them all back to one common ancestor.
They're all cousins and all grandsons of John Lackland.
It's the first family tree of its kind. Pouring through more than 500,000 names for months, 12-year-old Bridge Ann D'Avignon discovered that all the U.S. presidents, except Martin Van Buren, are related to the former King of England, John Lackland Plantagenet, signer of the Magna Carta in 1215.
Mildred Reed is his first great-grandmother on George Washington. And on Obama, Mildred Reed is the 10th great-grandmother.
It started as an assignment to research her own lineage.
Their prestige and importance have largely evaporated, but the rituals are still a secret. And so when we heard that some enterprising characters had managed to spy on the famous Skull and Bones Society, well, we couldn't resist. Here's ABC's Dan Harris.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to the Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the Tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
True. Famous alums include senators John Kerry and John Chafee, to name two, cabinet secretaries such as Averell Harriman, and 3 presidents, William Taft, George Bush, and George W. Bush, who's been reluctant to talk about Skull and Bones.
Does it still exist? The thing is so secret, I'm not even sure it still exists.
In recent years, by many accounts, the on-campus influence and allure of Skull and Bones has waned dramatically, and there is no proof that the rituals recently caught on videotape are the same ones performed by the current president. Still, Rosenbaum says the tape is a valuable artifact, an extremely rare view into the secret society that groomed the American ruling class for generations.